Okay, today we're going to continue our stories about ourselves and the time that we learned something new. So yesterday you guys did that your story has a beginning. You wrote in your story who the characters were, what the setting was, and what they were doing. Today we're doing the middle of our story. So we need to write 3 or more sentences saying what happened. So the first thing I want you to do before you get started is, if you have a planning sheet, I want you to look that over. But before that, I want you to reread your writing from yesterday. When I was younger, my mom taught me how to drive. We used my mom's car while I was learning to drive. We took her car to a parking lot before we drove on the road. Okay, so I know I have my beginning done. So now, today I'm doing my middle of my story. So what happens to the characters? I wrote 1, 2, 3 things that I was going to write about. 1 was my mom drove and showed me what to do. Then 2, we went to a parking lot. And 3, we got ready to drive on the road. So I'm going to get my next piece of paper. And up in the corner, you can write an M if you want for middle. But you should know that it's your middle when you're reading it. And then I'm going to write complete sentences. So the first one was my mom drove me. So I'm going to write my M-Y, and it's an uppercase because it's the beginning of a sentence. My mom, M-O-M, my mom drove, my mom drove her, H-E-R, car, C-R-A-R. My mom drove her car first. My mom drove her car first to, finger space, to show. My mom drove her car first to show, finger space, me. My mom drove her car first to show me every. Hey, look, the Y stole the sound of E. My mom drove her car first to show me everything. Our Ing brothers. My mom drove her car first to show me everything, finger space, I needed to, finger space, know, period. My mom drove her car first to show me everything I needed to know. So that was the first thing that happened. The next thing in my planning sheet that I wrote about was we went to a parking lot for me to practice. So then I would write we, and it's in uppercase because I have a period, so it's a new sentence. We went, W-E-N-T, went to, T-O, finger space, A, finger space, parking, our Ing brothers again. We went to a parking lot. So that, T-H-A-T, okay, my mom drove her car first to show me everything I needed to know. We went to a parking lot so that I could, C-O-U-L-D, could practice all of the things. And I know I'm not showing you guys a finger space, but I know you're going to put a finger space between every word. She showed me where there weren't any cars around, period. Now I need to go back and reread that so that I make sure it makes sense, and then I know what I can write next to keep adding on. My mom drove her car first to show me everything I needed to know. We went to a parking lot so that I could practice all of the things she showed me where there weren't any cars around. So now I've done this, that my mom drove and showed me what to do. I've done this, we went to a parking lot to practice, and then 3, we got ready to drive on the road. Okay. When, W-H-E-N, when I was ready, we drove out of the... Now, I'm out of room. I can either write it down here or I can get a new piece of paper. I know I'm almost done, so I'm going to write it down here. Parking lot. When I was ready, we drove out of the parking lot and A-N-D onto, compound word, the road, period. Okay, so now I'm going to go through and I'm going to reread it. I know that I went through, I wrote all 3 sentences about what happened to me in the middle. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to reread it. My mom drove her car first to show me everything I needed to know. We went to a parking lot so that I could practice all of the things she showed me where there weren't any cars around. When I was ready, we drove out of the parking lot and onto the road. So now I read it. Now I need to go to my success criteria. And we've already checked the beginning yesterday, so you're not checking this part today, you're just checking the middle. So I need to make sure that my character, or that my middle says that what happens to the characters. And I need 3 or more sentences saying what happened. So I'm gonna go through. My mom drove her car first to show me everything I needed to know. Here's one sentence. We went to a parking lot so that I could practice all of the things she showed me where there weren't any cars around. There's 2 sentences. When I was ready, we drove out of the parking lot and onto the road. There's 3 sentences. Now, when I say you need 3 sentences, each of those sentences need to be telling me one different thing that happened to you when you were learning this new thing. So you can't just write the same thing over and over, because I know some of us have a hard time with that. We need to make sure that every single one of our sentences is a different thing telling me about how I learned something new. Now that I know that I have 3 sentences saying 3 things that happened, I'm going to go back through. You don't need to do the beginning paper again because you did that yesterday, but I'm going to check. Did I use correct upper and lowercase letters? If I did, check it off with your dry erase marker. Did I use ending punctuation? If you did, check it off with your dry erase marker. Did you use finger spaces? If you did, between every single word, you check this off with your dry erase marker. Did you spell your popcorn words correctly? If you did, check this off with your dry erase marker. Did you read your writing aloud? If you did, check that off with your dry erase marker. Does your story have a middle? If you have 3 or more sentences saying what happened to the characters, then you can check that off. Now, you'll erase all this because tomorrow you will have already checked your beginning and middle, but tomorrow you need to do your end and you have to check the rest of it. So erase it, and then tomorrow we will do our end.